Have you ever wondered why when some people speak it's just magnetic? Like you listen so intently to every single word that they say, but more than listening, you feel it. You feel the presence that they're speaking from, you feel the integrity, you feel the depth, and it's captivating, it's mesmerizing, right? And then we all have the experience of maybe having something passionate we're trying to express, and people just are checked out. They're not fully getting the depth that we're trying to speak from. We don't feel trusted, seen, listened to. It sucks, right? So in this video, I really want to break down the secrets to communication that builds trust and authority, especially as a one-person business owner, creative, however you express yourself. These types of skills of communication are things that nobody teaches us, but they're the very vessels that are going to help you live a more abundant, prosperous, aligned life, right? So in this video, I just want to break down 4, secrets that might seem a little woo, but are so tangible that are going to take your communication to such a deeper level of just trustworthiness and integrity. I'll give you a bonus one at the end, and then I also just want to break down why communication is so important, right? So let's just dive right in. If you're new here, my name's Kev, and I help ambitious creatives design and build a business that is aligned with their heart and their core values, and one that just feels good and fulfilling and like is actually making an impact on the world. So let's start with why communication is so important and why I think it's ridiculous that nobody teaches us how to really deeply communicate, right? In a world of texting, emailing, quick phone calls, Instagram, and all these other methods of communication, we really lose touch with what it means to have this sense of embodied presence when we're interacting with the world. Because we can be multitasking, we can be, half listening to somebody, half doing this, having music in one ear, all these things that really take away from the possibility of depth when communicating. And this is especially pertinent when you're interacting with a potential client, right? Communication is so important because it's how we purvey our ideas into the world, and it's how we represent ourselves. It may not be the actual words that you're saying, but how you are being felt is going to determine whether people trust you or not. And communication is one of the biggest markers. Actually, I will just say it. Communication is what determines if the world trusts you or not. If that client trusts you or not. If your lover trusts you or not. Not by what you're saying, but how you're saying it, from where you're saying it. So this is something I'm really passionate about, because learning how to really deeply communicate with integrity and presence has helped me just be able to sell higher ticket services to the world, as well as build more meaningful relationships that are more aligned to what I want to be creating in the world, right? So let's dive into these 4 secrets that I don't think anybody tells you about that are going to take your communication to the next level. The first of which is about regulation, right? Now let's use an example of you are a new one-person business owner. You're excited to offer your services and you have a call or a meeting, whatever it is. I like to do things in person. And you're excited, and so you're going to meet up with the client and you're feeling like this excitement, you're feeling a little bit of anxiety and nervousness. All that's great and normal. But bringing that energy into a conversation, that's the ground from which you're speaking on. So the other person is going to feel that bit of, heightened energy, which can oftentimes come across as a bit of tension, a bit of anxiety, which tends to sort of have a bit of a repelling effect, right? The version of you that is going to be able to confidently meet the desires of that client and do that project well is the version of you that knows how to regulate and soothe your system so that you can speak clearly, confidently, but more importantly, you have the capacity to listen. Because listening is an amazing form of communication. So the first secret is are you regulated? So you have to identify what it's like to not be regulated in your system. You need to become somewhat literate in the world of nervous system language and what's happening inside of your body. If you feel like sweaty palms, tense, your heart's beating a little bit faster, you are not regulated. If you feel like you're aware of your breath, you can kind of relax into your body and you're just more just pleased to be in the moment, you're a little bit more regulated, right? That's a better place to speak from. So off the back of that, the second secret is breath. One of the biggest things that we all unconsciously pick up on in our environment when interacting with other people is their breath. Now, I'll do an example. If I'm meeting you and I'm trying to, let's say, I'm trying to sell you a service, or I'm trying to pitch my service, or I'm trying to purvey this idea. So I have this idea and I think it's really exciting. Oh, you're gonna love it. If I'm breathing really shallow, obviously I'm exaggerating that. But if you can tell that I'm breathing really shallow, like you can see my nose go really, really just to like the back of my throat, right? I'm not even taking the breath into my body. That's felt as shallow or superficial or just not as trustworthy, right? And this is really, really unconscious. So I wanna give some grace and nuance to how important this is, but also how subtle it all is, which is why it's profound when you put it all together. Now, if we meet, I shake your hand, I look you in the eye, and I draw a deep breath, as deep as I can go. If I'm a man, I breathe really deep into my belly. I'm able to like relax my presence a little bit. I'm able to relax my shoulders, maybe even put my heart a little higher. And by that moment of just really taking a full breath of life into my body, I'm much, much more present. I'm here, right? Versus if you're shallow breathing, you kind of don't, someone doesn't know whether you're gonna like look over your shoulder or, take a step the other direction, but a deep breath really signifies like, I'm here. So when you're interacting with potential clients or just anyone in general, you can practice this. Really practice drawing deep breaths into your body, As a man, it's really important to learn to breathe deep in your belly. That's been the most transformative practice for me as a business owner and just a man in this world. And so practice that, especially when you're listening. When you're listening to somebody, deeply breathe into your belly and see how that starts to maybe relax the other person. Allow them to open a little bit more, This is especially pertinent too if you're a man and you're in relationship with the feminine. It's going to build a lot of trust and safety, right? And so now that we've learned how to identify when we're regulated and not regulated and how to maybe get a little bit more into our bodies through breath, what's really important in communication is your eye contact, right? So eye contact can be intimidating, right? We all have people that are like super intense presence where they're like, their eyes are peeled and they're looking at you like, yeah, I hear you. That's not the eye contact that I'm talking about. But being able to really hold the pose, this term I've learned from one of my teachers, John Wineland. He talks about holding the pose. And what he means by this and how I feel it is, can I allow myself to just sink into not like penetrative eye contact, but like open, relaxed, and loving eye contact just a little bit longer than I normally would. Now, of course, there's nuance to whether the other person's available for it or not, but I found as a business owner, especially if I'm selling something between $10,000 to $20,000, I'm gonna want to be able to show my depth and integrity by holding eye contact, not in a way that makes the other person uncomfortable, granted that's their responsibility, but in a way where I'm coming with openness and love, but I'm not breaking that moment, right? I'm here. Eye contact is signaling that you're here. So I want to give an example just to show you real time how this really impacts trustworthiness, which is what this is all about. So if I'm going to give you example A and example B. So tell me which one that you trust more. Let's say your name is Johannes. Hey Johannes, so it's really good to meet you and I feel like we're gonna be a great fit to work on this project together. I really like your energy. I feel like we're really aligned. I really feel like our values are, gonna be a great match to make this project really something special. It's gonna be $10,000. If you could write me a check for $5,000, that'd be great and we can get started. Okay, thanks. Versus example B, Johannes, it was great to meet you. I really appreciate just learning more about you, hearing what you need, and I feel like we're gonna be a great fit to work together. I'm really excited to see how this collaboration can unfold. And to start, I'm gonna ask for a deposit of $10,000. Would you be able to write me a check today? Totally different trustworthiness, right? Because especially when you're talking about your service and money, a lot of insecurity is gonna come up. So if you can hold the pose, it shows confidence, it shows integrity, it shows depth, and it shows that, you don't necessarily have anything to prove. You're just meeting the scenario at hand, right? So another nuanced point about eye contact, which this you can take or leave, but I find it really helps. If I'm talking to a man or a woman, there's different ways that I like to make eye contact. So if I'm talking to a man, I tend to look into his right eye. It's sort of, the masculine side, this more dominant sort of side, I guess you could say. And I'll look into his right eye. And that will be where I focus my presence, and that's sort of where I direct my language, right? Now, I'm sure as you could feel in that example, you're not just listening to what I can say, you're feeling who I am in the moment, right? When I'm looking around, you're not necessarily, you're hearing what I'm saying, but you're feeling my lack of presence. You're feeling a bit of my, sporadicness, which isn't a bad quality, but again, it's a skill to learn, right? So for a man, I tend to look into the right side. That's sort of his, more dominant bias, I guess you could call it. There's a whole energetics and spirituality behind it. I won't go into that. And then for a woman, I tend to look into her left eye, softer, a little bit more vulnerable. There's just more depth available there. And I've found that makes a noticeable difference for me as a practitioner of this, that helps me really see someone and build trust. And again, it's not about what I'm speaking. This could all be happening while I'm listening to what they are expressing to me. I'm listening to what they desire, what they need, what their pains are, what their desires are, what they're scared of, And if I can just be listening and holding that eye contact, and of course, you don't have to hold eye contact for 10 minutes straight. It's okay to I'll tend to take a deep breath and close my eyes for a second and reset, because some people can't handle, 10 minutes straight of eye contact. I get it. But if I'm just listening and looking into someone's eye, if they're a woman, I'm looking into the left. If it's a man, I'm looking into the right. And I'm really breathing deeply, I'm a trustable presence. You're much more trustworthy. It shows that you're fully here. And when someone feels really seen, they're really going to trust you so much more. So this brings me to the next sort of secret, where I'll use the example of in a client meeting, right? I see the mistake that a lot of people make, that I used to make all the time, is when I would go to meet a client, it would be about, how can I win this project? How could I show that I am so skilled and an expert and an authority that they have to want to work with me? Which that usually translates in the sort of first stage of learning how to run a business and communicate, to you talking all the time. Talking about what you've done, how you would do it, giving your ideas, saying how you've done it in the past, saying all of these things maybe about yourself, which again is not wrong. There's a line where that might have to happen. But what I find is much, much more a determining factor, whether the project continues to move forward or not, or even if it's in alignment, which is a different category. If you just need work, you need to get work. But is asking just simple, really, really simple questions like, what are your desires with this project? And being able to listen intently, using everything that I've stated before, being regulated, taking deep breaths into your belly, making eye contact, holding the pose, opening yourself, not tensing, opening yourself. And when they're done speaking, you use their exact language to repeat back to them what they told you that they desire. This is borrowed from the imago technique. It's a therapeutic technique of communication and making each other feel like they're fully understood and seen, at least through language. So if someone is saying that they desire to have a really enchanting space that makes them feel like they're frolicking in a fairyland or whatever it is, you would say verbatim those exact key words back to them. Beautiful. So what I'm hearing, just so I can clarify, is you really want to create a really enchanting space. I totally understand that. This is a beautiful property. You want it to feel like it's a little fairy tale path. Like, that's beautiful, you know? You use that exact language because that really makes people feel seen and heard. Now is not the time to put your twist on it. It's your moment to make the other person feel deeply listened to, which is going to build trust, right? And the bonus I almost forgot, and this is a huge one. When you're communicating to anybody, don't fucking touch your face. Like, it is such a simple thing that we all do, you know. If I'm starting to talk to you, or say I'm listening to you, you know, you're expressing like something. If you're a client, you're expressing your desires to me, or if you're a lover, you're really expressing, you know, something that didn't sit well with you. And while you're talking, if I'm like, you know, that's not as trustworthy, right? And in the same light, if I am, you know, pitching my services and really trying to like meet a client where they want to be met with what I can offer them, if I'm like, yeah, so it's gonna be, you know, $10,000, that's not trustworthy, right? It's like, we do it unconsciously though, so give yourself a lot of grace so you can practice noticing where you tend to sort of fidget and touch your face and do things. I do this funny thing with my nose a lot, where I'll kind of like itch it without touching it, which is the same energetically thing, has the same energetic impact. But just notice where you're kind of trying to hide in some way. Really what touching is I'm uncomfortable, I'm trying to hide, there's something happening in my body and I don't know how to express it. I'm not safe, I don't feel confident, all these different things. It's like your insecurity coming out, you know? But if I'm just talking to you and I'm like, yeah, so, man, that's so good to hear. Like, I'm so excited for you. Like, that's great. Like, I'm so glad to be your friend and support you. It's like, that doesn't feel like very trustworthy. So I almost forgot, just wanted to slip that in there. So if you begin to incorporate all of these, you know, they're not even strategies, they're just ways of being, right? It's a part of your embodied presence. If you begin to incorporate and integrate these into your daily life, practice them with your friends, practice them with your teacher, with your boss, with your clients, with your lover, with your mom, with your dad, whatever it is. Practice embodying these qualities. And I guarantee you can feel a noticeable energetic signature from the other person that might lean in to trust you more. People might trust you more with their expression, their heart's expression. Clients are going to trust you with their money more, which is really what business is about. Do I trust you with my money to give me what I desire, you know, or to take me where I can't go myself? That's also a similar principle in relationship, which is built on trust, right? So I really hope that, as nuanced and simple as these, you know, insights and secrets are, that you can see a really tangible impact like I have in my life. It's really been able to help me confidently just meet people where they are, become more of a leader in my community, a leader in my niche, and also be able to confidently sell higher ticket stuff, which is always a great feeling too as a business owner. So thank you all for watching this. I really hope this helps. Communication is so important, and I hope that you all have success with embodying these and building more trust and authority in your life and business. So thank you all for coming. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.